biggest swamp in the world is in the middle of Africa. It's called the Likwala Swamp. That swamp is huge. Most Americans don't appreciate the size of Africa. Here's what Africa looks like next to the entire United States. Africa's gigantic, okay? That swamp is bigger, is the same size as the state of Florida, 55,000 square miles. That swamp is huge. Did you know that swamp today is 80% unexplored? In 1885, Congo in Africa was taken over by Belgium, and it was called the Belgian Congo for many, many years. In 1960, the communists liberated them. You know how the communists liberate countries. They kill everybody. Okay, you're free now. Yeah, anyway. There were reports in that swamp from the 1700s when the missionaries went in there and said, man, there are dinosaurs still living in that swamp. Dinosaurs still alive? 1910, New York Herald ran an article about dinosaurs still living in Africa's swamps. Here's a Saturday Evening Post, 1948. There could be dinosaurs still alive in Africa. A big game hunter named Mr. Gobbler returned from a trip to Angola. He announced to the Cape Town newspaper, the Cape Argus, that there was an animal of large dimensions, the description of which could only fit a dinosaur. The natives call it Chippewa. In Central African Republic, they call it Nguri. Roy Mackal went there in 1980 on an expedition. He spent $250,000. As he traveled around the swamp, the natives talked about this animal called Mahamba. He said, what's that? And they showed him a crocodile. Oh yeah, that's the Mahamba right there, Mahamba. He said, how big does it get? They pasted off on the sandbar, 50 feet long. And everybody says, no, crocodiles, they never get past about 17 feet. Oh, I don't think that's correct. Earlier in the summer of 2005, they killed a 24-foot crocodile in that swamp. Of course, the natives will say, oh, you should see the big ones. The natives also talk about an animal they call Mokele Mbembe. Well, if you show them the picture of an apatosaurus, they'll say, yep, that's it, Mokele Mbembe. The natives claim these animals live underwater. They're very rare. Of course, they're in the swamp in Africa, and nobody goes out at night anyway, and there's no lights over there at night. But the animals are seen mostly early morning or late in the evening when they come out, and their favorite plant is the Malombo plant.
I agree. There might be creatures there, like there are certain places on Earth which remains unexplored. But dinosaurs, really? That's too far-stretched.
Americans are being poisoned, brainwashed, and genetically modified without even realizing it. Do you like Skittles? Do you like to taste the rainbow? If your answer is yes, then what I'm about to tell you, this crazy conspiracy theory, is bound to blow your mind. Just a few days ago, a California resident filed a lawsuit against Skittles and its parent company, Mars Incorporated, suing them and claiming that the colorful and tasty candies that we've all grown to adore is unfit for human consumption due to its alarmingly high levels of titanium dioxide, a dangerous additive that puts its consumers at a heightened risk of genotoxicity. And for those of you who don't know, genotoxicity is when a chemical substance has the ability to alter the fundamental structure of our DNA. Titanium dioxide is commonly used for plastics, adhesives, inks, roofing materials, and recent scientific research has proven that titanium dioxide has the ability to bypass our biological membranes, circulate our entire body, and hijack our cells. The European Food Safety Authority has deemed it unsafe and unsuitable for human consumption and has been banned in multiple different countries. This is beyond alarming, especially when you consider the fact that Skittles is one of the many food brands that's owned by Mars Incorporated. And Mars Incorporated is one of the 10 mega companies that owns all of the food brands that we consume.
Politicians and billionaires have started selling off all their stock.
Senator Tuberville just dumped a huge amount of his portfolio this month, and I mean huge. Out of the 61 trades he made over the last month, 59 of them were sales. Tuberville isn't just your regular congressman. When it comes to trading, he has one of the best records in Congress, right next to Nancy Pelosi. Maybe one of the reasons behind this performance is the crazy amount of Senate committees that he's on.
If you somehow don't know who Quiver Quantitative is, they track the politicians' trades. They have a website. They're one of the best resources you can go to if you want to know what's going on in the stock market and the world. And he points out how Tommy Tuberville sits on a ton of congressional committees that give him insight into what's happening with commodities, rural development, food and nutrition, military action. You can go to quiverquantitative.com and look for Tommy Tuberville, and it'll show you all the data on all of his different trades across the years, whether they're buys or sells, what industries they're in, and you can see what we're talking about here. In February, he sold off huge amounts of stock in every single industry. Just this February, Jeff Bezos has also sold another $2 billion of Amazon stock, and he's up to $6 billion in sales. Mark Zuckerberg is doing the same thing. This is where the SPY is currently at. This is an index that tracks the top 500 and so companies in the market. This was the year 2000 and this was the year 2008, those bubbles. But economists want you to believe that this is not a bubble, that this was the crash and we're recovering and it's all good. Except all the insiders, the richest people in the world, the politicians, for some reason think that this is a really good time to sell all of their assets. We also recently discussed how Bloomberg did a study where they showed that media mentionings of soft landings is actually a reverse indicator for soft landings. The yellow is where we've had major recessions, and news coverage of the possibilities of soft landings spikes before major collapses, and this is what it's at today. We've also discussed how regional banks are in big trouble again, and how the emergency bailouts from 2023's banking collapse end 1 year later, this March. That is in, 12 days? So if I had a bunch of open trades in the stock market now, I would be pulling a Tupperville and getting the fuck out of this bubble. Fortunately, I don't, because the only stock I'm holding right now is GameStop, and all my shares are directly registered, so if something goes crazy in the market, I'm good to go. And I know that most of you guys are poor too, and don't have any assets to liquidate, so just buckle up and enjoy the ride, because 2024 is gonna suck. But on the bright side, if we all pay attention, it's gonna give a great opportunity to call for change. We just all gotta be educated and paying attention, so that when they try to bail themselves out again with our tax dollars, we got something to say about it.
He's also the one who told me about Bohemian Grove. These are the people that used to hang out at this place, and they would put on robes, and they would worship an owl god, and they would burn an effigy. And they're playing, and Alex snuck in and made video footage of this shit. So they're in with these bankers and former presidents, and they're dressed like druids.
Yes.
And some guy brings over something that it's an effigy that's supposed to be a body, a wrapped up effigy. It's also a bunch of sticks in a blanket, but it's like shaped like a body.
Yeah.
And then they drop it on the fire, and they're all worshiping an owl god. This place where like former presidents go. There's a photograph of it's Ronald Reagan with Herbert Walker Bush and a couple other people all standing around, and then no one's denying that it's real. This really did happen.
They can't deny this. Why? Because it actually happened. In fact, it's still happening.
You ever heard of the Bob Ross theory?
No, I haven't.
There's a theory that Bob Ross paints the landscapes and paints the areas of places where he hid bodies.
What?
Yeah.
Nah.
So take this in. This painting, it's called Happy Little Accidents. This painting is an exact comparison to this real life place with this tree.
Okay.
And at this location, they found 5 dead women, half eaten alive.
Half eaten?
And buried under the tree.
Where is this?
I think this is in the States somewhere. But keep in mind the title, Happy Little Accidents. So Bob Ross painted it and titled it Happy Little Accidents. Why is that such a sus name? You know what I mean?
Are his other paintings also
oh, there's
murder.
There's another one that's like betrayal and grief. There's different titles.
Yeah.
But the theory goes that every single painting that he's done is a clue, or at least even the exact location of where he hid these bodies that he's killed.
Oh, so he's killed.
Yeah, he's killed.
What?
Oh, so he's mimicking Zodiac, giving away hints in his paintings.
Bro, this is so crazy, fam. Tell me why there's still symbols of the Illuminati and Masonic symbols on the $1 American bill. Still to this day.
Is there actually?
You never noticed that?
Are you talking about like with the pyramid?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I know about the pyramid, on the $1 bill.
Why would the American $1 bill have a pyramid when they're not Egyptian?
Yo, nah.
Why would it have the all-seeing eye, not Egyptian, on the American dollar bill?
That makes no sense.
Yep, you'll see the symbol everywhere. In Hollywood, in movies, in games.
Nicki Minaj is being silenced.
Superstar rapper Nicki Minaj.
Rap superstar Nicki Minaj. And people like Nicki Minaj, I have to say this. You have 22 million followers on Twitter. For you to use your platform to encourage our community, oh my God. As a fan, as a hip hop fan, as somebody who is your fan, I'm so sad.
Nicki made a couple of tweets speaking out against the V-Shot, which is why she's being silenced. Twitter even banned her account so she couldn't say anything else.
Y'all don't see what the is happening? We're no longer even allowed to voice our opinions. What's interesting is so many of your favorite artists feel this way, but they're afraid to speak up. And I can't blame them. Look at what they just did. I will never use Twitter again.
This even got her fans protesting right outside the CDC. Whenever a celebrity speaks up, they always get silenced, which is why X said this on IG Live.
A lot of people are so ignorant Like, nothing. I'm not even gonna say anything. But fuck around and get killed.
These are some of the weirdest mutations ever observed in nature. Snowflake was an albino gorilla that used to live at Barcelona Zoo in Spain. Sadly, he was euthanized in 2003 after being diagnosed with skin cancer, likely as a result of his condition. He was the world's only albino gorilla. This octopus with 85 tentacles was found near Japan in 1957. This incredibly rare cardinal is called a bilateral gynandromorph, meaning it is male on one side and female on the other. A fisherman in Maine found this translucent lobster in 2017. Scientists say the odds of this happening are about 1 in 100 million. Ulnar dymelia, aka mirror hand, is an extremely rare developmental condition of the hand. It is characterized by the absence of the radius, duplication of the ulna, and symmetrical polydactyly, aka 7 or 8 fingers and no thumb.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1000% believe in?
The reason why women's fashion have little to no pockets in their clothing is due to the fact that the fashion industry would lose money from bag and purse sales.
That's not a conspiracy. That's a fact.
People that walk barefoot in the jungle for long periods of time with their whole life, their toes spread out and their feet almost look like a hand.
Oh, no way.
Look at these guys up there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't notice anything like that.
Yeah, this is the Horani Indian splayed feet.
They're not very big people. They're like small Indian people, but really big, kind of useful feet. And the way that, you know, they could run up and down trees and climb stuff, I mean, it was unbelievable. That's got to be like what our feet are supposed to be.
Probably, right?
Right?
Yeah. Thick-ass toes that actually have muscles in them that move.
That you can use like a tool, like your hand.
Yeah.
Everything's covered in mud down there, right? It's all wet, it rains every day. And they could run up and down these tree trunks, like to get up and down the village. And here's me and my crew with our awkward cameras and stuff, and we're slipping and sliding and falling over.
Yeah.
And like, they're literally like, what's wrong with these people? Why can't they walk? We must have looked like infants to them.
This is a story about the time I met someone who is in fact supposed to be deceased. So over the summer, I accepted this position as a fine dining server in this 4-diamond 5-star resort. So we get lots of athletes and celebrities, blah, 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 because it's in a really remote place. It's like a little hidden gem. On this particular evening, I greeted a group at the door, and I noticed that one of the ladies looked exactly like the late Princess Diana, except, of course, she was older. Wait, So I said to her, oh my God, has anyone ever told you you look exactly like Princess Diana? Like, no word of a lie. She looked at me and she goes, yeah, I've heard that before. So I seated them at the reserved table. The group was very loud and happy to be there. But I noticed although this lady smiled and laughed, she didn't say that much.
To her saying that she's alive and living a double life.
The plot thickens in the mystery of what killed the mom of Kanye West, Dr. Donda West.
You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to recognize that the death of Donda West was very suspicious. I wanted to go back in time and investigate what exactly happened to Donda West during that surgery.
Dr. West's sudden death on November the 10th happened just a day after undergoing breast reduction, liposuction, and a tummy tuck by cosmetic surgeon and television host Dr. Jan Adams. But the report found no sign of surgical or anesthetic mistakes.
So most people thought Donda died on the operating table in surgery. Donda actually died the next day at home under the care of a few family members.
Donda West survived the surgery very well. She was at home.
Did anything during that surgery go wrong?
No.
Were there any complications during the surgery?
No.
Was there anything prior to the operation that gave you pause about operating on this woman?
No.
I'm not sure if it's true or not, but there's a huge conspiracy that they sacrificed his mom.
Here's a quick conspiracy about Shrek that you should know about. So Shrek has a total of 4 movies. Shrek 1, Shrek 2, Shrek 3, and Shrek 4. Now the last Shrek movie was made in 2010, and the very first Shrek movie was made in 2001. So I decided to take the year that the last Shrek movie was made and subtract it by the year the first Shrek movie was made. And when you subtract the 2 years, you get the number 9. Now pay very close attention because this is when stuff starts to get creepy. The number 9 is also a song made by Drake. That's right, guys. Drake is actually Shrek. At first, I didn't believe it, but then after a little bit of research, I finally found something that I wish I'd never seen. This is a picture of Drake being caught as Shrek. And then this all started adding up to me. The last Shrek movie came out 2010, and Drake's first album came out 2010. After Drake finally finished filming for Shrek, he decided to become a rapper. Spread the news.
No way. No freaking way.
Planets aren't real. You heard me, and I have proof. In the Bible, God specifically only created the sun, moon, and stars. Nowhere in the Bible will you ever find mention of planets. But here's the thing about stars. They're also commonly referred to in the Bible as angels. For instance, in Revelation, it mentions 1/3 of the stars falling from heaven. In Matthew 24:29, it talks about how those stars will fall from heaven during tribulation as well. The best part is that I know exactly what kind of angels these were. These angels are referred to as Galgalim, and they're described in Ezekiel. This is a great representation of what Ezekiel saw. This is a Galgalim. Now I want you guys to really look at the structure of what a Galgalim looks like. And now I want to show you what a star looks like from a telescope. I'll show you a video. Look familiar? Now here's my leading point. I'm pretty sure that all of these planets are actually just fallen angels. And it's proven across so many different cultures. All of these gods were fallen stars. That's why when I talk about how dangerous astrology is, I couldn't be more dead serious. Nothing on earth is what it seems, but the word of God is what will always be.
You've never worked at a grocery store without telling me you've never worked at a grocery store. Honey, that's not a conspiracy theory to make you think there's more food than there actually is. It's called facing. They bring some of the product up to the front of the shelf in order to make it look nice and neat and pretty.
My favorite new conspiracy theory that I've been exposed to about the Sphinx's head. Okay, I've never been to Giza. I've never been to the pyramids. I have not seen them in person. I've only seen pictures, and I've never questioned them because, you know, I just accept. Obviously, Ancient Aliens goes over Egypt and the pyramids a ton in their millions of seasons, but I was watching this episode where they sort of just mentioned something I had never heard before, which was, what the hell is wrong with the Sphinx's head in Giza? The body is huge. It's a lion. And then he's got this tiny ass head. And Egyptians never made anything look like that. Everything is like super beautiful and
I know
proportionate.
what you're talking about, yeah.
So here, I'll show you this picture. This is the picture of the Sphinx.
It looks like the dog sitting down with you know, it looks like a dog, the pose it's in, but it's...
Well, hold on.
I'm just trying to describe
because
it.
It's widely accepted that it's a lion's body with a pharaoh head.
Yeah, and they're yeah. So they're sitting like this, okay?
Well, yeah, you can Google a picture of the Sphinx.
Yeah, but it takes at least a couple femtoseconds to Google it.
but look at the size of his head.
Yeah, he's in like tiny head mode.
He's in tiny head mode.
Yeah.
He's in tiny head mode.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is from ancientpages.com. I have the link here. Here are his, I don't have the name of the writer. He's from that website. Here are his gripes with, and he's been there.
The head size.
Not that you need to go there in order to see it. The back is flat. Whoever saw, no, what?
Sorry, I want to reference. I'm just going to look at my phone.
Yeah, the back is flat.
Okay.
Whoever saw a lion with a flat back, no big chest, and no mane. The Sphinx is sitting in a deep hole in the ground. Why is that? Why is it not sitting somewhere up high so that it can show off? There is a ruined temple right in front of the Sphinx with a wall practically up against its nose. No door in that wall. Why obstruct the view of the Sphinx from the front like that? And if the temple was for worshiping the Sphinx, why is there no access from the temple to the Sphinx so that you can't even get to it? The pit in which the Sphinx sits seems to be deeply eroded, as if by flows of water. What caused all that? It looks as if water has poured down the sides. On the other hand, there is no such vertical erosion patterns on the Sphinx itself, which instead has clear horizontal erosion patterns. How can these two different patterns at right angles to each be reconciled? And what could possibly have caused either of them? So here's that person's theory, because apparently there's been some talk of ancient rain that has caused this erosion of the lion of the Sphinx.
Yeah.
This person says, I do not believe that the Sphinx is 12,500 years old, nor do I believe in ancient rain. I do believe that the Sphinx is older than conventionally believed, but I do not believe it is thousands of years older or anything of that kind. I do believe there is water erosion at the Sphinx site, but I do not believe it had anything to do with ancient rain, nor do I believe that there's anything to be eroded at the time any ancient rain fell. The water of the Nile in those days, at the time of the inundation once a year, which no longer happens because of the Aswan Dam, came right up to the edge of the Sphinx temple, where there are even quays in front of it. I don't know. What's a quay? I don't know what that is. I'm so very sorry. So what I believe happened was that the water of the Nile was let into the Sphinx pit, which I now call the Sphinx moat, by some simple water-raising devices led along the narrow channel between the Sphinx Temple and the Valley Temple, the two structures in front of the Sphinx. And its flow was controlled by a series of sluices and water gates. I don't know what sluice is either. I feel terrible. The reason why the temple wall is in front of the Sphinx is to act as the fourth barrier to the water. The reason why there is no door in the wall is because it would have let the water out. The horizontal erosion in the side of the Sphinx, where it's not covered by restoration stones, is because the Sphinx is sitting in the middle of a moat filled with water. The vertical erosion on the sides of the pit, especially on the south side, is because of the continual dredging of the moat due to the wind-blown sand accumulating there. Every time the moat was dredged, water poured down into torrents onto the sides, leading to vertical erosion, accentuating by the natural cavities in the limestone bedrock.
Oh man, she took so long to get her point across.